Hey everyone, it's Pixelade here, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So things have officially gotten worse. The rumors we talked about recently have now been confirmed. EA announced in a press release that it has entered into a definitive agreement to be acquired in an all-cash transaction, valuing the company at approximately $55 billion. The entire Electronic Arts brand, that is every studio, every franchise, including The Sims, will be acquired by an investor consortium comprised of Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, Silver Lake, and affinity partners led by CEO Jared Kushner. Mega sigh. EA stockholders will receive $210 per share in cash. The per share purchase price represents a 25% premium to EA's unaffected share price of $168.32 at market close on September 25th, 2025. And it's also a premium to EA's unaffected all-time high of $179.01 on August 14th, 2025. So this transaction represents the largest all-cash sponsor take-private investment in history. The transaction was approved by EA's board of directors and is expected to close in the first quarter of fiscal year 2027, subject to customary approvals and conditions. Following the close, EA's common stock will no longer be listed on any public market. At that time, the consortium will acquire 100% of EA, with the public investment fund rolling over its existing 9.9% stake. So EA will remain headquartered in Redwood City, California, and Andrew Wilson will continue as CEO. Now, what does all of this actually mean? One major detail in the press release is the debt financing. The deal includes $20 billion of debt financing fully and solely committed by JP Morgan Chase, $18 billion of which is expected to be funded at close. That creates a lot of pressure on the company to generate short-term returns and manage that debt load. And according to a new report from the Financial Times, EA's new owners are betting heavily on artificial intelligence to help with all of this. They believe AI can significantly cut operating costs and boost profits in the coming years, which they see as necessary to manage such a large debt. The report didn't provide details on exactly how AI would be used, but in my opinion, that could mean things like automating parts of testing, most likely reducing development costs, or pushing for faster production cycles. Now, if that does happen, it could lead to tighter schedules, definitely reduced creativity, and for sure, many layoffs. Now, how is all of this going to affect The Sims? Well, for The Sims 4, I think things will mostly stay the same, at least in the short term. Expansions that are already planned for release should still release, and I feel like the game is too established at this very moment to change. But the future of The Sims 4 definitely at risk when we're looking at years down the road, and also adding in the story of Project Renee as well, because it is still in development. It is definitely much more exposed to these kinds of ownership and financial shifts, and in my opinion, the pressure to monetize could become even stronger. We might see heavier microtransactions or more aggressive DLC models, especially if investors are pushing to quickly recoup costs. I definitely think development timelines could also be impacted here. Investors may want Project Renee released sooner to start generating revenue, even if that risks a rougher launch. Definitely would be a huge concern for a game that is supposed to represent the future of the Sims franchise, which at this moment is just really looking bleak. And then there's the most troubling part of this whole deal, at least in my opinion. Who owns EA now? Saudi Arabia's public investment fund is controlled directly by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and according to Human Rights Watch, it has facilitated and benefited from serious human rights abuses. The report explains how the PIF has been used to to concentrate power in the crown prince's hand, giving him personal control over nearly $1 trillion of state wealth. That money has funded projects linked to arbitrary detentions, abusive crackdowns, and even the 2018 murder of a journalist where planes owned by a PIF-controlled company were used to transport the Saudi agents involved. HRW also points out that some of the PIF's mega projects have been built through forced evictions and violent suppression of local communities, and another PIF project in Jeddah led to entire working class neighborhoods being demolished, displacing residents and migrant workers to make way for luxury developments. So this goes far beyond just talking about a pool of money with the PIF. This is an entity that is linked to ongoing abuses, crushing dissent, displacing vulnerable communities, whitewashing Saudi Arabia's reputation abroad through investments in sports and entertainment. Now, for many players, that does raise a lot of ethical questions. Do we keep supporting The Sims knowing its ownership is tied to these abuses? How will this affect the culture inside EA Studios, including Maxis? And what does it mean for the creative direction of the franchise if decisions are ultimately being shaped by investors focused on political power and profit? I think The Sims is in for a very, very dark future, and at this point, this goes far beyond clickbait. I don't think The Sims is doomed because we're not getting a specific pack, or maybe EA isn't making the right decisions for the game and they're putting too many eggs in one basket versus the other, but this is coming down to very, very strong moral concerns. And I have seen so many Simmers online voice that they're done with the franchise and they're not going to give them any money because of this. So the press release paints a picture of growth and opportunity, but the reality is that EA is now tied to a fund that used investments in sports, media, and now gaming as a way to improve its global image, often described as sports washing. But for Sims fans, this isn't just about whether we get a good experience or if Project Renee lives up to expectations. This is about whether the series is being reshaped by forces that don't align with player values. And when you add it all together, we have that $20 billion debt, the AI strategy to cut costs, all of these very, very concerning human rights issues. It's kind of hard not to feel uneasy here. I think it is fair to say at this point that creativity and player experience could easily take a backseat to financial and political priorities. I'm definitely curious on what you guys think. Are you worried about what this means for The Sims 4, especially Project Renee, since it is likely many years away at this point? Do you think the deal could actually bring more stability and resources? Or are you more concerned about the debt, the artificial intelligence cost cutting, and the human rights issues tied to the new ownership? Definitely curious on what you guys think. Share your thoughts below, and as always, thank you for watching. Take care and hopefully happy life simming.